BioPatrika, your very own science communication platform, bringing science closer to you in many ways. Today, Scikonnect by BioPatrika welcomes all science enthusiasts to our podcast on life of a researcher and networking. I, Pragya Gupta, and my co-host Nikhil Tulsian have been given the opportunity to welcome a very enigmatic scientist, Dr. Aishwarya Bandla, to share her story about a researcher's life and her magical formula of networking.
Hello everyone, I'm Nikhil and it's my pleasure to introduce my friend Aishwarya Bandla. She completed her Bachelor's of Engineering from Anna University back in 2009 and then she pursued a job at Infosys. During the end years of Infosys, she dreamt of doing something more relevant to the world and then she pursued her Doctor of Philosophy in Biomedical Engineering at National University of Singapore. Currently, she heads the translational core and is involved in a lot of clinical device making. Let's hear from herself. So, hi Aishwarya, thank you for joining us and talking to us. Maybe you can talk a bit about yourself and share a glimpse into our projects.
Course. Thanks, Nikhil and Pragya, for doing this, and congratulations to BioPatrika for all your excellent initiatives. And I'm sure this is going to create an impact in its own way, and I'm honored to be part of this initiative. So, like Nikhil has mentioned, my journey to being a biomedical engineer scientist has been a little bit of a journey of curiosity, serendipity, and making and taking opportunities. So I started off with a curiosity of looking at researchers in lab coats, and that's what triggered me to look at what can be done at the intersection of medicine and engineering. So I started off with a undergrad in electrical engineering to get a solid fundamental training in engineering, which can then help me to implement or advance technology for the field of medicine. And Nikhil mentioned Infosys, which was a little bit of a detour, but we will talk about it. I think each of these experiences has added a little facet of itself into me, which has molded me into the professional which I am today. My experiences at NUS have given me such a rich training and expertise in biomedical engineering and scientific training and pursuit itself. And through my training, I have had a chance to learn and delve into preclinical research, be it animal or in vivo or in vitro. And I also had a chance to work in projects which are directly looking into development of medical devices for the use in supportive care in cancer. And one such project, what started off as an idea a decade ago has now materialized into a product to reach patients. And I should say that I'm really honored and fortunate to have been part of that journey. And this project is to tackle a problem which cancer patients commonly face as a side effect of chemotherapy. It's called chemotherapy-induced peripheral neuropathy, which is pain at the fingertips and toe tips, which is a side effect of chemo. The other ones are hair loss and nausea. And though we have very developed treatment and management measures for all the other side effects, CIPN is something which has not been looked into and is managed with just painkillers. And the beauty of the institute, which I had a chance to work with, is where there happened to be a confluence of scientists, clinicians, technologists, biologists, and industry leaders. And what happened at this juncture was an idea of using technology to tackle this side effect. And we came up with a simple idea of using cooling, which we call as cryotherapy, which then advanced to the addition of certain other factors, going on to cryocompression. And we tested this idea in pilot clinical trials in healthy volunteers and cancer patients, derived a lot of design inputs from those initial trials, and went back to make a device which is bespoke for cancer patients undergoing chemotherapy. And we are excited to test these devices in our upcoming clinical trials.
This is amazing. In the last 2 minutes, I could relive the life of a researcher in the perspective of you as well as me. While I had a more traditional path of bachelor's, master's, PhD, yours is more exciting as a life, doing bachelor's, job, PhD, now doing more clinical. Like there are various turns here and there. This is what a researcher's life is. And now currently you are collaborating with multiple people,
Mhm.
clinicians, doctors, academicians, institutes, and also you do a lot of volunteering at the IEEE, which we'll talk
Mhm.
about it later.
Certainly.
So really, it is quite impressive, and I'm sure our listeners all across the world will be definitely motivated and piqued to pursue their dreams. As everyone has a turning point in their life, what to decide, like when to decide and where to decide that they have to
Mhm.
do and want to do or not, and what career path they want to take. At what point you decided to take on the scientific pursuit? Was it during the Infosys, or when, or you just tested out to think of let's try back PhD?
Yeah, I think that's an excellent question, right? It always makes us look back at our journey, and hindsight is 2020. And it's interesting to think about what went on in our minds, and what are the experiences which shaped us, which led to where we are, each of us as scientists. For me, like I mentioned, it started off as curiosity, looking at my cousin sister, and also other scientists in lab coats, like I mentioned. So I'm like, that's something probably I want to try out, and I maybe want to be one of them someday. So I did not have any training or a sneak peek into research while I was in India. And my experiences in NUS is what has been all my research journey. And I took on a master's in NUS to try out what research is, and if I was cut out to be a researcher. And fortunately for me, the people around me were really encouraging in that. I think that is very important when you're starting off with something, that initial push and motivation to go along. And I was lucky to have that in great mentors and a very nice team of buddies around me. And Nikhil would agree with that, I'm sure. So, and all these experiences led to me embracing the possibilities that I could pursue my further fascination in biomedical engineering as a career, and research as a career. And I guess that led on to me realizing my passion in the intersection of technology and medicine. And and I think for me, it was also important to try out different things. Like I mentioned, I have worked in the pure bench side with animal models. I have also had a chance to work with clinical technology, and I found that I enjoy working with people from multidisciplinary backgrounds, and knitting all these different skill sets together to advance technology.
That is amazing to hear. Like pursuing science during as when you joined up during a master's and then converting into PhD. I'm sure many people would agree with that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
go ahead.
indeed, I mean, it takes a lot of courage and mental strength to like take such big leap from like being a engineer and then transitioning into a researcher. So like there was a drastic change in the field matrix, like a then engineer now into biomedicine. So looking back last few years, do you miss being a software engineer, or do you like your role more as a biomedical scientist?
That's an interesting question. And I guess I would say I'm really happy with what I'm doing today. And today's world being a very multidisciplinary world, I'm sure each of us, though we are in a very specialized niche in each of the research we are, working on, we all get to play different roles. And for example, morning, you may be a coder working on your algorithms, and afternoon, you may be running biology experiments in the lab. And in the night, you're going back to analyze your data or writing your scientific paper, communicating your science to the world. So each of us get to wear each of these hats in different parts of our scientific career. And that is what I really appreciate looking at my journey, because I've had a chance to pick up different skill sets from different experiences. And I think these help me deal with challenges and also come up with solutions, because I think creativity is something, it's like you feed your brain with a lot of inputs, and what comes out of it is it's just amazing. So I think it's very important to give ourselves a lot of different experiences and inputs, so you can go on to innovate creatively.
That's true. Like interdisciplinary experience is very important if you want to do some breakthrough research. And in the lab, you deal with a lot of challenges and problems. And when you transition from engineering to the biomedical field, it must be very difficult for you to get used to the new setting. So what was your thought process during that time? I mean, did you feel a lot of stress, and how did you manage those things?
Yeah, thanks for that question. I think it's an important one to touch upon, because as all of us enter PhD, we are fresh out of undergrad, or in my case, out of a little break with a experience into the corporate world. And PhD is a long commitment, and it can, it can be stressful when we start off with. And for me, in my case, my only experience or education in biology was my high school or standard 12 biology, after which I went on to a tangent of electrical engineering and software engineering. But I guess what drove me through was my keen interest in understanding what opportunities lie ahead in this field, and also my interest in, like I said, the intersection of medicine and technology. I remember in my first year of my graduate degree, I went on to, I should say, bravely take this course, which was I was a master's student, and I did take on this course, which was meant for PhD graduates. And it was a very specialized neurobiology course. And I had no clue of the fundamentals of neurobiology at that point. But I guess what helped me go through was the chai interactions, which I had with friends like Nikhil and my other buddies in the School of Medicine. So my research institute is also strategically located in between the School of Medicine and the Faculty of Science, though I am an engineering graduate student. And speaking with all my fellow mates, I could gather a lot of knowledge, information, and how they would apply these concepts in their own fields. And I guess the peer-to-peer support is also something which made me go through this journey in a relatively easy way.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, so you had a lot of things to get engaged with, to deal with the stress that time. That's really important.
Exactly. So keeping the mental health and the stress away during this research or anything is quite necessary in the current world. And when we are juggling with multiple things,
Mhm.
mental health and or the emotional ride has to be kept in check. Definitely. With this of talking about mental health, there's a lot of thing of okay, many things can get you demotivated. But Aishwarya, what motivates you to keep going on? Curiosity is a major factor, definitely. But how do you sustain that drive and instill curiosity to continue your career in research and every day go to lab, keep going on, and keep making new things?
Yeah, yeah, I think that's an excellent question. So for me, thinking about it, I think it boils down to people, possibilities, and passion. So primarily people because you spend the most amount of time with who you work with and your friends and family, and having good mentors who can inspire you and who you can aspire to be like someday is very important, I feel. And also having that very nice ecosystem in the research environment where you all work together, be it late nights or weekends when you go back to brainstorm or continue that one experiment which we've all been waiting to get that result from. I think that camaraderie definitely is a important part of what keeps me going. And of course, family and friends who support and encourage me to do and go further in what I'm doing to play a very important part. So then speaking about possibilities and passion, I think often looking at the big picture is very important, I feel, because as scientists, we get buried in the minute details of the science, but zooming out and looking at what you're doing and how it can contribute to the world at large will help us connect with the impact it can create. And I guess that is another huge factor, which I think all of us as scientists would agree that it keeps us going.
Okay.
So as we are hearing from you, Aishwarya, that you are very much motivated in spreading the science to the world and helping people and other like to grow in their career. So you're also involved with like many other initiatives such as IEEE, and you're volunteering for that. So can you share your views on it and what your role has it been so far?
Absolutely. So IEEE is, for those who may not be familiar, it's the world's largest technical professional organization, and it stands for the Institute of Electrical and Electronics Engineers. Though it may sound biased towards electrical engineers, they have several technical societies, and it is all related to where engineers play a role, and which is pretty much everywhere. So they have technical societies, which I'm part of, one called Engineering in Medicine and Biology. And apart from the technical societies, IEEE also has a lot of different forums where people can connect. For example, I'm part of a group called Women in Engineering, and also another group called the IEEE Young Professionals. And I think what started off again as a curiosity of what happens in IEEE about 5 years ago has got me involved, and I really enjoyed the activities which happen in IEEE, which bring people from various disciplines in science, technology, even art, math together to grow as a professional. And I think in today's world, the so-called professional skills, which is being relabeled as human and life skills, is very important. Be it a role in a corporate or be it a role in the lab, I think these skills weigh in equally important. And I came across this concept called a T-shaped professional, and it was quite interesting for me, where the vertical of the T is our degree, discipline, and the technical specializations. And the horizontal is the professional skills or the life skills which bind it all. And I would imagine the audience of this would be people either in their graduate degrees or people aspiring to be graduates and further specializing in either the same discipline or another discipline. And there the tea would transform into a pie where you add one more technical discipline and your professional skills continue to bind them all together. And IEEE has been an excellent platform for me to experience such life skills and learn more, because these skills such as communication and empathy and team building, team management, these are skills which we learn by doing and not in a classroom course. And I think if we would take a tangent to our scientific careers and look at an example of what we do in IEEE as a volunteering, let's take an initiative as a conference. We, as a conference chair, we would come up with a proposal, join a team together to bring the conference together, write grants to get funding for the conference, manage the whole event through, and then bring it to completion. And these are skills which you could definitely translate to a scientific career as to conceiving a scientific project, getting funding, and seeing it through to completion and success. And often in graduate school, we do not get trained in these skill sets. However, when you become a principal investigator or a professor, you are thrown into the field to actually hit the ground running with all these little skill sets. And I think while being a graduate student, volunteering with organizations like BioPatrika, IEEE, or others are going to help you build these skill sets in a fun learning way.
Wise words, Aishwarya. So you have shared with our listeners key factors in networking, the glimpse into a life of a researcher, and how you transform your own path from a tea to a pie by networking more people. It's commendable that it requires a lot of research and networking as well. To our listeners, please like, share, subscribe. Why? Is because you get to hear to people like Aishwarya. Aishwarya was recently awarded as one of the top 100 women in tech in Singapore. As she mentioned, science is not just STEM now, it's STEAM: science, technology, engineering, arts, and math. So you never know, when you're having a coffee in some coffee shop, you may meet some person who is totally irrelevant to your field, but in in near future, he or she may be very, very relevant to your success. Definitely, Aishwarya, as you mentioned, the networking aspect and growing yourself through people by, in your words, people, passion, and possibilities is, it's very important.
So, Aishwarya, like the young aspirants usually have some unassertive thoughts, and their minds are like very clouded with confusion, and they sometimes don't know what to do. So, any final tips and words of encouragement for them to help pursue the career path in research?
Absolutely, Pragya. I think there are so many golden words of wisdom which I have used to live and thrive through my journey. So I guess I would say that scientific training and pursuit is a superpower, and each one of us should look at putting it to good use, be it at the start of your journey or while you're midway or you're at your peak. So adding on to the piece which Nikhil summarized, the other one I would add on to is purpose, and always look at the big picture and the impact you are creating with your work, and that will definitely keep you going. And also enjoy the journey and embrace and learn from failures. We all hear about fail fast, and I think it is definitely something to get used to and embrace it. And also one important thing would be to look beyond the traditional opportunities, and you can by this you can make your own opportunities, create your own opportunities, rather than just looking at what are the ones which are available there, and finally pay it forward. And I think this is very important because each of us have received a lot of mentorship and support from our peers and seniors. And as we go along, do pass it along to your peers, juniors, and whoever may need it. And I think that's going to create more impact for the world.
Yeah, that's the key. Help each other and keep growing along with others. And it's very important to have the right guidance and right support when you want to like succeed in your career. So from woman to woman, what like did you face any challenges for like being a woman in science, and then how did you manage the work-life balance, because it becomes really difficult at some times? So what are your formula to manage the stress?
So I think this is a common question which comes across in the Women in Engineering and Women in Science forums. So I guess I should first acknowledge that there has been a lot of progress in, be it gender equality or making the playground level 1 for women and men to work along together. And that has given us, I would say, that has opened up a lot of opportunities for us to embrace. And in terms of challenges, I would say current day would be more of the personal limiting beliefs and behaviors, which each of us should look beyond. And we all would have heard of the so-called glass ceiling, which is more in the corporate, where women do not get beyond the middle management to the senior C-suite roles. But I think at a level where we are all starting off in our careers, I would also look at something called the inner glass ceiling, which is our own limiting beliefs and behaviors. Look beyond it, shatter it, and I think there's much more to achieve.
Definitely, as you mentioned, the current scenario is it's more progressive, where women are involved in multiple things, and they should be involved. It's an equal world. And people like you, Aishwarya, are important to inspire other women across the world who dream of pursuing their career, but maybe withhold themselves due to various reasons. But I'm sure that should not be a reason, but they should pursue their dreams. Today, we have got a glimpse of a life of a researcher. To our audience, let me clarify. A researcher does not just hold a pipette and sit in the lab all day. It is beyond that. We talk to people, we meet more people, we collaborate with various kinds of people, be it doctors, nurses, engineers, and academicians, or even management or
Patience
other
as well.
patients and management people for a successful project. Thank you, Aishwarya. We have enjoyed your company, and it was amazing talking to you. I'm sure our listeners will be definitely interested, and they will be sending you a lot of queries through your LinkedIn and email.
Would love to connect, especially in this virtual world. Please do reach out, say hi. And I would also like to add on that if you listen to a talk, or if you meet a person, drop them a message, say hi, because we all do miss networking in person. So I guess virtual exchanges are the way to go. Thank you for having me on the podcast, and wishing you all the best.
Thank you so much, Aishwarya. So thank you for sharing the minute details, and your story is clearly very inspiring. I hope our listeners are as amazed as we are. Thank you so much.